Is the presentation by the retail coach was closed. You were told when introduced Kyle and presentation.
Yeah, I told you to do that, but what I would like to say is Kyle was done for us, and I always wondered what the word retail coach meant, and I figured out with Kyle, they've done a good job of coaching through, maneuver, get you through, maneuver you through, show you obstacles and that. They've done a great job of that, getting that. They're working great with all our other. It's been very, very beneficial to the city, so I think that totally is.
Thank you, Mr. Folks. As you all recall, about 2 years ago, I think it's been going on 2 years, we made a change in our retail consultant and our retail recruiting part of our team. And as Mr. Folks said, and summed it up great, that they have fit in very well to what we have as our team, that being the city, the retail consultant, our developers, our real estate agents, and then property owners in all parts of the city, not just one particular location, even though there's some emphasis right now. But I want to introduce Kyle Coper, and I know that you met him before when his dad, Kelly, was here with him previously, and he has an update presentation to talk about some things that he and we have been doing, and to keep you in the loop. And for any questions.
Mr. Foltz, thank you all for the introduction. Like I said, I'm Kyle Coper with the retail coach. It's hard to believe we've been working in Anniston for 2 years, and really at the end of the day, we're a retail recruitment firm. We wear a lot of different hats. There are a lot of things that have to take place to get to the point where you can recruit retail. It's just like everything now. It's extremely scientific. It's extremely technology based. So the majority of what we do on the front end and have completed on the front end is data analytics. So for us to go out and recruit retail in restaurants, we got to have that ammunition. We've got to be able to go out and recruit those retailers. So a little bit about us. This is kind of your designated project team. I'm the project director here. Kelly Cover is our CEO. He was here last time. And Caroline Hernsberger. So Caroline is our retail recruitment coordinator, along with another new employee of ours, Caroline Benjamin, who their main job is to make phone calls, get in front of the retailers and restaurants, really talk to the brokers, the site selectors, corporate contacts, all of the above. And I hinted a little bit about data. So everything that we do on the front end is extremely data driven, and I'll get into the responses on the retail and restaurant side here in a bit. But we're able to run.
It should kick back in.
I'm sure we'll kick back in. We're able to run cell phone studies, so mobile data analytics. So this report that I'm going to show here is really honed and fixed in on Walmart. So we're able to see, how far consumers are traveling to come to your Walmart. So, Anniston, a market of 20, 25,000 people, but that's not really telling the story here. We want to know, who's coming in here on a regular basis. So this is a consumer breakdown of your Walmart in mobile devices. So basically what this does is it's all opt-in data. So if a cell phone is within that Walmart location, it pings us and shows us where that consumer's home location is. So for us, that lets us know, all right, outside of just the city limits, who's in here on a regular basis? And that's the geographic area that we go out and we formulate and we use to recruit retail and restaurants. So this is just able to show you kind of where people come from that visit your specific Walmart location, which is obviously much more broad than just your city community population. And from that, we go in and we have determined a primary retail trade area. So when we go out and we talk to retailers and restaurants, this is what we're selling to them. This is where we're pulling from on a regular basis. We have data, we have analytics. I'm hitting on Walmart today, but we have this for multiple locations in town as well. So this is that primary trade area for Walmart. And then we also have the secondary. So for this cell phone analysis, I'll tell you, it's all opt-in data. So we're not able to see that Mary Draper is here, here, and here. It's basically just a geographic area, and it gives us a heat map to show So for this market, we did a primary trade area, and then we also decided to do a secondary trade area. So the primary trade area is where you pull about 70% of your consumers from. That consumer that's visiting, multiple times a week, multiple times a month, and then your secondary trade area is going to be much larger. That consumer that might be coming 1-2 times a month, a little less than that. So what we do from there is we run our reports on this. So Toby knows this, Mr. Foltz, Mayor Draper, we have pages and pages of data, and a lot of that is beneficial. But most brokers, most site selectors are just like all of us. They don't have time to, on the front end, to dive into all that data. So what we do is we put together what we call a retail market profile. So we take all the high points of the data to really get their interest. So over here is the primary retail trade area. We have that 2024 population right at 53.6. So that's where you're pulling from on a regular basis. That's the number that we're marketing day in and day out as Anniston's primary retail trade area. And then your secondary trade area, which isn't utilized as often, but we always want to have that to reference, is right at 108,000. So for these decision makers, they want to see population, they want to see educational attainment, income, age, race distribution. Those are the hot points for us to get our foot in the door to where we can start having conversations about different sites and things like that. So obviously sites are extremely important. We're talking to a retailer or restaurant, the first thing they want to know is, hey, Kyle, we're interested in Anniston, where are you going to put us? So we focus on new ground-up development, we focus on redevelopment, and also infill lease space. Like I said, site selection is scientific. So if we're working with a sandwich user, which I'll get into a little bit, that's looking for 1,500 to 1,800 square feet, they're not going to go with 2,500 square feet because that doesn't fit their model of where they've been successful doing that all over the country. So we have to know what they look for and play that game with them of sending them sites a Rolodex of what works for them. So obviously, Summerall subdivision, everybody is very familiar. We've been working very closely with the city on this, as well as Blackwater, kind of playing hand in hand with them. They have a lot of connections, we have a lot of connections, and they've really worked well with them, kind of tag teaming our retail recruitment efforts on this. I'll tell you, one of our major focuses has been obviously your traditional retail. So retail recruitment for us is soft goods clothing users, grocery stores, that is also entertainment users, hospitality, and then restaurants. Restaurants are key right now. I would say the work that we're doing makes up about 70% of this expansion that we're seeing in the commercial sector. But there's an obvious need for a hotel on this site. So we've spent a lot of time working through different hotel users as well as compiling really an in-depth hotel information package. I think it's probably 25 pages. And Toby and I have talked about it. It's like it's a long document, but it's not filled with fluff. Everything that's in there plays a role on the hospitality recruitment side. So that's been a primary focus of ours, as well as complimentary restaurant users for Summerall. Also want to hit on a redevelopment and primary vacancy here, which is the former Long John Silver's location. So a part of what we do is working with property owners. So we've been working with the doctor here, Mr. Adele. He's based in California actually, and Toby and I have had a lot of conversations with him about, all right, how can we best repurpose this location? Same thing with the Windows location. How can we best repurpose this as cost construction goes up, as interest rates go up? Second generation restaurant space is becoming more valuable. So we formalized a list of restaurants that we're going after for this specific space here to try to help Mr. Adele there. I'll be honest with the way it's kind of configured now. We've had conversations with some individuals about how we can structure this location to have a drive-through. Post-COVID, everything has really moved towards ease of access for the consumer, and this is a tough sell right now without having that drive-through in. We've talked to Alba and things about that, but finding a user for this location as well as other locations throughout Anniston is a primary focus of ours. And then when this pulls back up, I'll kind of get into the meat and potatoes. So actually some of the retail recruitment feedback that we're getting. So and right now we're working very closely with the national sit-down breakfast concept. So at the Retail Coach, we represent our clients at ICSC shows, International Council Shopping Centers, retail live shows, whether that's in Las Vegas or in Nashville or in Atlanta. And at this last show, there were two individuals with a group called Cent Hospitality Management that came up. And we started having some conversations about the two brands that they represent. And from that, have had multiple, I would say, really, really positive conversations. We've been able to bring Toby, folks, and Mary on these conversations, and our contact loop when we go with Blackwater Development to really pitch that site there. Things are moving forward. We're continuing to have conversations. So in the short time since I met these individuals in May, we've gotten really far. At the end of the day, this is a long-term game here. So I really feel good about where we stand with this national sit-down breakfast concept. We're also working with a franchise-based burger concept. We've been talking to this group for over a year now. They do have a franchisee in place. They've looked at a number of areas in town, and we're really trying to push them hard on Summerall development, or looking for them to come in and repurpose one of these second-generation restaurant spaces. They've come around a lot more as of late. Some of these retailers and restaurants can be hot and cold, so the job for us is to stay on top of things so it doesn't slip through the cracks. So I will say that conversations have picked up as of late with this group here. I talked a little bit about the hotel focus. So at first, when we started the retail recruitment, we focused on a handful of hotel brands, and all of those being points-based. So what I mean by that is rewards programs where individuals that are traveling might like to stay at certain hotels where they can keep their points. That's a big selling point for a lot of these different groups. So we have since then expanded our reach, so we're talking to 8 different hotel groups. And I'll tell you, under a specific hotel name, there might be 8 or 10 different concepts. So what we do is we go out and we pitch the market, we pitch the site, and then kind of going back to that scientific aspect of things, they will tell us, based on the market, based on the site, which one of their flags, which one of their brands fits this market, fits this site best. So that is really a primary focus of ours right now, where we're pushing in Summerall. National expanding coffee concept. Anniston is an approved market, so it's approved by corporate, and they're currently reviewing sites. So reviewing sites can mean a lot of different things, and that timeline can vary. So it can be, hey, we send this to the franchisee, they like these 3 sites, and things can be quick. Sometimes those franchisees are a little bit slower to get back with us. So we've not heard back from this group in probably 4 or 5 weeks, but that's not unusual with how long things take, especially during the summertime when ultimately that is passed down to the specific franchisee. We're also working with a national franchise-based burger concept. So in really the 1.5 to 2 years we've been recruiting on this project, this group has had 3 different real estate directors. So there's been a lot of turnover in the real estate department for this national brand. But they do have a local franchisee, and we have been in contact with that new contact, or with the new regional contact. Oftentimes, they don't put us directly in touch with the franchisee, so we kind of have to go through the middleman, which is what's going on here. But they have been reviewing sites there. So, and while on the bird concept, and then the national sandwich user that I was talking about earlier, Anniston's approved market, franchisee in place. They're currently looking for 1,500 to 1,800 square foot of Class A retail space. So they like to locate around, other restaurant concepts as well. And what I mean by Class A, and I talked to kind of the Blackwater guys about this, is the need for some form of strip out there at Summerall. Those are really tough to pencil out right now, based on construction costs, interest rates, and other things. We're not seeing a lot of 2, 3, 4, 10 strip centers being built right now, just based on the cost of rent and what it would cost these national brands. So we've kind of been going back and forth with this user on a few different things. They want to be in Anniston, they're just looking for that right spot there. It's got to be within that 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. Like I said, it's scientific, they're picky, they know what they want, they know what they need to be successful. Then another a rapidly expanding chicken user. So chicken is, like I said, restaurants are king, chicken is king right now. New chicken concepts popping up all over the country. This concept, based in the South, is doing a ton right now. Announced new expansion in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. They're interested. It's just kind of one of those things. They're not as large as some of these other more national corporate locations. I would say they're more regional focused. So things are a little bit slower there, but I've been pushing really hard with our contact there to schedule a call with city staff like we have with some of these other users. And then there's also an expanding burger slider concept that I actually had a call with one of their brokers as of this morning, trying to pitch them on some things. So that's a concept that's really new and upcoming. It's going to be doing some rapid expansion right now. That's really fresh on our match list. So the targeted retail recruitment match list that we go after there. Quick service Chinese restaurants. So as we hear back and get positives, there's always going to be some negatives too. This group has been kind of cutting down their expansion a little bit. They're a little more selective in markets they go in these days. So they said, hey, Kyle, we're not currently looking to open a location in Anniston. And then a smoothie concept like Anniston, they don't have a franchisee in place for this last concept. And then implementation of the plan, I talked a little bit about networking at conferences for us is extremely key. So we've marketed Anniston at 2 ICSC Las Vegas shows, which is where we met the national sit-down breakfast concept guys. We've represented you guys at 2 retail live shows, which are more half-day shows where you're going around pitching to retailers and restaurants, and then also at 1 ICSC Southeast show in Atlanta. So those are extremely important for us to be able to get under the same roof with decision makers and refresh and continue to keep Anniston at the top of their list. And then for me, that's kind of it right now. We're still working through our massive list of prospects. Like I said, what we do is targeted retail recruitment. So we're going after retailers and restaurants that fill a void for the market. It's not an open door policy. So I'm happy to answer some questions that y'all might have about some of the work that we've been doing.
Kyle, real quick, if I can, we're going to hit on I know that you've had outreach with Councilmember Roberts.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So in all of this is so we've been doing some sub-market focus as well. So focusing on different areas of town for certain prospects. It all goes back to site selection and certain factors that determine what retailers and restaurants will look and target, you know, this area versus that area. So we have done some targeted retail recruitment as of late in the past 2 months. We're going to continue to do that to focus on different areas of town.
Kyle, what can we do as council to help you succeed here? Is it finding franchisees and connecting them to you for different concepts as they come forward? Is it finding land availabilities or developers, or all of the above?
So y'all have a really good team here with Toby, Mr. Foltz, and the mayor. I mean, Toby and I talk on a regular basis. If I need something, it's there in 5 minutes. This truly is a team approach. We go back and forth on things. I couldn't be successful without him, and vice versa. So on y'all's end, I mean, I get what I need. It's always important. The one thing that I could think of is possibly on the franchisee side. But in this market, we don't run into that quite as often as you would think. We might get it here and there, but I'm always if you ever hear of somebody that might be interested in doing something a little bit different, becoming a franchisee, I would be more than happy to hop on a call with them and talk them through that process and what it looks like. Because what I found out in the work that we do is people might be interested in becoming a franchisee, but where do I get started? Is this brand a fit for me? Do I need to focus on health and wellness? Do I need to focus on restaurants? There's a lot of information out there on franchisees, but what I've seen is people might be interested, but they don't take that first step and getting started. But overall, y'all have a very good group here, and I've had everything that I need. So we're going to continue to do what we've been doing. We're getting very close on Summerall with a lot of prospects, and we just got to continue to keep working those deals.
So what's in this really mean? What do you think? Or was there anything you talk about? We may be able to lock down that we can, and that we may able to.
Yeah. So there's all. Yeah. So we've got some stuff that I think we're going to be able to announce, you know, probably later this year. We're getting closer on some of these. Announcements are kind of funny. On our end, we don't announce it until we're 1,000% sure something can move forward, because we've seen things fall across it or fall apart at the finish line. So I anticipate we're going to get to that point here pretty soon. But you know, y'all will know when we're at that point.
Any other questions, comments, Kyle?
Do you see any, well, will as I heard, the Fed are going to probably reduce the interest rate to keep from going into a recession. Do you think that, you see that might be helpful to you? And
100%. I mean, restaurants are still expanding rapidly right now, but deals are tighter now than they have been. And a lot of the retail and commercial prospects are going to come and ask for help from the city for that. And so interest rates are going to be able to free things up a bit, I think. I'll tell you this, we're still seeing a ton of expansion take place, even though things really are all over the country right now. So I mentioned we were our big ICSC show in Vegas in May. And that was my 8th year to go to the show. And there have been times where I walked out of there and felt kind of a little bit uneasy about what's in store for the next 365 days, because you could really get a good pulse on things from that show. And I walked out of that show feeling good about really the state of retail. A lot of what you hear on the national side is negative. There 100% are a bunch of store closings taking place. But what's not reported are these store openings as well. And we had a meeting with a casual sit-down restaurant out there, very well known, and recently came out that they're announcing they're closing locations, and were sitting there with one of their head corporate guys and said, well, what's not being reported is, you know, the locations that we are planning to open up in the next 12 months. So, I really feel confident about the state where retail is, and then the fact that interest rates are low will do nothing but help. Thank you.
Thank you, Al, for your presentation. Okay, next item on the agenda actually appears in the consent agenda. We talked about this previous work session. It is the bids for the resurfacing of portion 14 of intersections 10, 12, and 13. Any issues or comments about it on some consent agenda tonight?
I don't have any on that, that we, do, some kind of assessment of South Noble, in this process, that road is terrible. I drive that almost every day, and that road is terrible. I'm talking about, yeah. Yeah, it's worse, and the worst spot is right there at the curve before you go across the tracks right there, but that whole length has been potholed so many times that there's nothing level on it anymore. It'd be really nice. I don't think it's anything more than wearing surface maybe that is needed over the bulk of it. There may be a couple of areas where there's some issues, but primarily, I think we've got a decent base on that road, but the wearing surface over the top of it would be wonders.
Very good.
Pour hot coffee and stuff today.
No, we were talking about earlier. Actually, so outside of our corporate, outside of our entertainment district down there, the 14th Street right in front of the church, and we were looking and try to dig it. I think that's something that's what we going from 14th, 15th, that's awful as well. And it kind of leading into our, what we're trying to.
Yeah, that's a little more limited there. South Noble, it's the length of it, it's from curve to curve, basically. We've got pretty bad service there, I think. I mean, that's a pretty healthy length, it may not be something you could do all of.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to figure out a place to start at, looking at what we may have available. Again, we're looking at, because the county right now, that this may be something we can talk to the county when it's supposed to get the rest of it. It's funny, I was just trying to get a more concentrated area possibly.
If you could take it in sections, do it from Greenbrier to city limits, and then from Greenbrier back into the main part of town. You know, if you did it in halves like that, that's something that might work. Most of that really rough is from Greenbrier to the city limits.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean,
Yeah, it's, but you come out, we resurface all the way down Fourth Street. And once you pass Fourth Street, it starts like, it slowly goes into, like, you know, I was putting the barbecue grill on back one day. I thought when he was the wrong way. I thought it would be serious. We understand that.
something we can do there. I think that'd be a good project for us going forward. It serves a lot of our citizens, so.
That would be eligible for a category that's empty infant, because it connects to a bike pedal line back at Fourth Street.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What's the category I'm thinking of? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak up, it's just,
No, I was thinking that as a trail or two.
Yeah, carbon footprint stuff.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, they qualify.
Okay.
Very good. Anything further on resurfacing? I have to item 3, reappointing members to the Anniston Water Works and Sewer Board. This is consent agenda tonight. Brett Rockwell for Ward 1, Deion Johnson for Ward 3. Any issues or comments, questions there? Okay, item 4, listing of this surplus and equipment, listing this equipment and personal properties in Dropbox.
property, we just.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's a huge list of personal property there. Okay, item 5, also on the consent agenda, is a resolution authorizing the action plans for the CDG and home. Which shows anything further than that?
I mean, we've already presented, now, so we went through this process, so we're ready to move forward.
Any questions or comments from council on item 5, to get CDG and home? All right, we've got a proposed ordinance as item 6, and it is establishing city policy on disposing abandoned and unclaimed property that appears in a drop box. Any issues or comments?
I got Captain Perry, just following that in, this is, maybe, this is a great way of doing something that we've been sitting on too long. And we start figuring out a way to make this happen legally. So, you want to just,
So our property runs getting overrun lately with firearms. Some of our orders we have now is kind of vague, so we want something a little bit more detailed and by law. So that was one of the main things is we can get rid of stuff after 3 months if no one claims it after we try to notify. And especially with all, we do a dealer instead of just auction. So we just want more detail with everything that says that it was.
so we want to see the attorney to come up with something to bring to the council.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, Ms. Phillips, item 7 is your proposed budget.
Yes, sir, it's already, the council's been given that proposed budget, that's what it, keep it in mind, that I think we got with all council, and we will have our first workshop on Monday at 5:30, and then we can discuss that, if you, everybody has it, so they can peruse it. Just we'll give a presentation, and then we can take questions from the council, and then put it to the council. But you have enough time to take a look at it, and before that date on the 12th.
Is everybody good with 5:30 Monday?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, Ms. Phillips, item 8 is your updates.
Yes, sir, AMIC resolution, and this is something that Ms. Millie, she's over the AMIC, the museum board that's over the museum. And we just had we needed to make sure that the audit matches up with our audit. So we just they had some concern, we met with them. We came up with a resolution, Bruce created a resolution that everybody's satisfied with, so we can actually go through and do the things that we do for audit. So we just actually that the council, we saw a copy of the draft. The board has already voted to unanimously approve it. So all we need to do now is move it forward. So now there will be no questions in the future. So,
And I want to say that the auditor for AMIC, Gerald Pentecost, was very complimentary of Jessica Leonard in explaining the reason, the rationale for this. He said she did a really good job. So, Jessica, you need to know that you were very much appreciated at that meeting. Thank you.
Any questions or comments there? Is everybody okay with that? This is consent agenda tonight, so we're going to get this started. Everybody good with it? All right, Ms. Phillips.
the next thing, and I think everybody has a copy of that, the Chief of Diamond Trail update. Jackson actually put it on our website, on our Facebook page and other social media sites. But the thing that also that I want to make sure the council done, and I think Councilman Jenkins and actually Councilman Smith actually went with these, our consultants, and also the ones that are doing the trail. And if you understand, I just signed the change order where we actually going to save over $500,000 in that change orders with you. So we're coming down at $500,000 there. And keep in mind, that's not money we can use, that's money that's going to be less, has to come out of our reserve moving forward. So thank you to that, and we're still looking at ways to even come down with close to I say 500, but it's closer to $600,000. I think that's very good to come down that we're bringing this thing down. So I think that was great, everybody getting together, and it was just teamwork, sit down, how can we do it better? And is the trail going to suffer? No. Is it going to be any less than what? No. It was just finding smart ways of doing things, and thank you for all the council and everybody who actually interjected in that, and I think that was a great savings. And we actually signed the change order, so that's already starting to go down.
No, very good. And I'm meeting with Galvin Trails Foundation tomorrow, so I think that there are other potential funding opportunities here as well to partner with us here. So thank y'all for your work on that.
The next thing I want to talk about is that, as you know, when we had to abort the parking lot project and and cover that hole and actually build the grant, What we thought was, if you look at, we actually budgeted $275,000 for that parking lot, and if the bid came in at $214,000, which give us a saving of about $60,000. And what I'm asking is that with that savings, we can actually do the little parking lot across from DNS that's adjacent to that little park. We can do that parking lot, and then also the parking lot across from the police station where the police vehicles are, and there's a parking lot there. Working with the county with another $50,000, we can redo that parking lot as well. The county will let it, the county will ensure the work is done. So I'm asking the council if we can use that savings from this 275 to actually do those two parking lots downtown.
Everybody good with that? Makes sense.
And what we'll do for the one across from BNS, we'll bring a change order, because this can go into it fits within that criteria, and it's a little less enough in the change order. They can actually do that in the small parking lot, and the county will bid out the other parking lot across the police. So the prices come less enough that we can do that.
All right. If nothing further.
I just want to ask one thing. It's difficult for me to hear in here, and I don't know if it's acoustics or whatever I'm not here for, but I don't really know. But the parking lot, it was going to be the parking lot downtown, and we made it. We put soil into it and planted grass and all that. Is there a future parking lot plan, or are we going to leave it like it is?
Again, this is what we wrote for council, everybody understands. The reason that we cannot move forward with the parking lot because the building is adjacent to it, because I gave council, has a breach in this.
Okay.
Yeah, and if any foundational movement will cause that building possibly to fail.
I see.
So that's why we had that board that we were already moving forward, ready to go out for the bid, and I actually gave the council a copy of the report from the structural engineers, but we cannot do anything with that parking lot. That's why I say, in order to do something, we do these little small parking lots around it. I don't know when it will happen, but again, they want an extravagant amount for that building, and I don't think the city wants to buy that building at this time. And if he's not going to do what he's supposed to do, then we cannot start moving anything around in that parking lot in an area, because if it does, that building could collapse.
Okay. I don't know if you read the email from Richard Smith, and several people have contacted me suggesting that that be used for a dog park. And I don't know if that's feasible or not, but I thought it might be something that we could think about for the future. I mean, it may not be feasible. I wanted a dog park back in 2012. I learned a little bit more about it than what I knew then. And she thinks that it would encourage good people to come downtown and bring their pets, walk down to the group because they allow pets there, and have dinner or eat lunch. And I think she may have a good point. I'm not certain on that, but I just thought it was a good idea that she threw out to us the other day.
Well, if you're reading the videos, when we get this, a whole lot of good ideas for what they want it to be. It's a lot, not just a dog park. There's many things that people are suggesting. But what I would recommend the council until we decide where we're going to go with that parking lot, we do need that parking space, and it may come down somewhere in the future. But if we put something there that's too permanent and have to snatch it back, what do you want to say to the public? And that's like this.
I do think we don't need to abandon that as a parking lot.
Right.
There are other options to explore there. That needs to be a parking lot for that thing, in my mind. But yeah, I get that.
I don't see a problem with it being a dog park. You would understand it, you know what I'm saying? But like I said,
Once you start it, you can't stop.
Right.
You can't pull it out.
Once you make it a dog park, if you decide to not make it a dog park, you know, crucify yourself.
I just think we should.
Let's avoid being out
I'm in favor, don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of the dog park idea, but that may not be the best location.
I just think we maybe make it a temporary greens, maybe some city we can sit out there, and then we can just snatch it up without, because we always have Zen Park available, we also have the 12th Street Park. But if you put something there that people would expect, I think, to tell them, now we got to not have it, then we cause another problem, I think, for the council.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
but when looking at some of the areas around that's really close to the diamond trail as well as the Google. So we got a lot of buildings over there, a lot of spaces not convenient for life. You know, even, I mean, just somewhere on the other side of the road, and it seems like that would be a great idea, you know, because I don't see